to start a student and continue them going in the tier process for the school year. So first of all, you're going to find the student that you have in your class that has reading or math tier paperwork, and you're going to just click on one student. And we are now in their paperwork, and you can see that this student is in cycle 2 of tier 2. They have all these buttons lit up right now, so you're able to start their paperwork. The paperwork in here for the tier 1 and for their tier 2 from last year, it will say grade 1 at the top here. This is all her tier 2 paperwork from last year and her information. This would be her core from first grade. And here it says stop, so we have all of her information from last year. So she is ready for us to start tier 2 this year. So if we decide that this student has had enough cycles and is really struggling, then we will move her to tier 3. If we want to just start her this school year and start her in tier 2, we can just go ahead and do that. Or even if this student is ready to move back to tier 1 and they did outstanding on their iReady and all their data points for the beginning of the year. This student, we're going to go ahead and keep them in tier 2. So click on that yellow button. It will spin and get that page for you. So there are some new parts at the top. This is asking, have they had excessive absences this school year? I'm going to say no. Are they English as a second language? The student is not. And if you're not sure, make sure to contact Ms. Shaban. Has this student ever been retained? That's something that you can ask Meredith. If yes, in what grade this student has not. And then if this student has been identified and gifted and talented, and they have not. Okay, so we have all of this filled out as far as please check any that may apply. So it has the student intellectual disability, emotional disturbance, are there cultural or environmental factors? No, none of that pertains to this student. She's just struggling in reading. So now there's a big stop sign that they've added this year, and after that stop sign, we can go ahead and enter the date, which can be today's date. What was the result of the chosen path? So has this student made positive, neutral, or negative? So far it looks like this student is neutral. We can change the names to the team this year, so you can leave my name if it's on there and Miss Vale. We're going to want to change the tier paperwork for the teacher this year. And then we'll start up here with next steps. So last year it looked like this student was receiving CVC phonics and Dolch words. If we look at their iReady scores, we can see that they are going to need phonics. And if you're not sure, we've worked on our groups and our intervention groups, but if you want to see, it looks like maybe phonological awareness as well. So it works its way across that way. So we want to start with phonological awareness. If that's a gap, you can click on that, and I'm just in iReady right now. Expand and see what they need to work on. So it looks like this student needs to work on understanding and blending syllables, segments, so that gives you some ideas there, rhyme. So for this student, we'll come back into the paperwork. This student would need to modify the plan. It looks like we need to go back a little bit. Maybe the child has went back a little bit during the summer and during the break, so they'll need to work on phonological awareness using rhyme, and how often would be, since they're in tier 2, we can do 2 to 3 times a week for at least 20 minutes. This student might also get phonological awareness and a level 1 phonics for reading book. And then as far as additional data, here we want to say something about how they're doing this year in school, whether maybe they're virtual or in person. So we can say something like, this student has been working in small guided groups on books on her level. She will need work with phonological awareness, and phonics. And then we'll continue in tier 2. Don't forget to put what tier. This is also a good space to go back to the iReady reports, and I like just copying and pasting this chart right in there because that will show how they did overall, what their score is, and how they did on each of the domains for reading. So I'll put that in there, and that has all of our recommendations. And if I scroll down, then was it a letter home, a conference, problem solving, or a phone conference? This student had a phone conference, and it's asking for the date. So I'm going to put the date. And then you can scroll all the way to the bottom and save the student plan. So that is how you are going to create a student plan in RTI Stored. And that will bring up all the documents for the students. So just make sure that all of these are green. The demographic can be reloaded for this year, but as long as you've got it in there, that's fine. The only thing that you've got to update at this point would be the online progress monitoring. So if you click on that, it will bring you up to broad range data. So what we're going to be working on with this student, and you can see past year's data also by clicking here. She's got data from 2019, 2020, and 2020-21. We are working on phonemic awareness, so we can click on that. And then it wants broad range data. So she did score of 376 overall on her iReady assessment. And if I look at the charts that had the placement tables for each grade, a typical second grade student would be scoring a 489. So she has a gap of 113. This is where we will start adding data once we collect it. So we'll click the add button and each time add the date and what the data was and the score. And we will do it as a percent. So you'll figure out the percent correct, then save, and then you can close it. And then that tab will light up green. So the next time you come back in to do paperwork for the student plan, you can see that these tabs will be ready for you to click on keep her in tier 2 or move to tier 3 or back down to tier 1.